So here we go then. With 10 games left to play in the Premier League, we are set for one of the closest title races we have ever had, as just 1 point separates Arsenal, Liverpool and Manchester City. And with the international break now over, the battle for the Premier League title continues, with a massive game this Sunday as Arsenal travel to the Etihad to take on City, knowing that a win will open up a 4-point gap to Pep Guardiola's side. There will still be plenty of time for City to catch up, but it would be an enormous confidence booster for Mikel Arteta's side if the Gunners can achieve their first victory at the Etihad since January 2015. And Liverpool could pile even more pressure on both sides in what is already a huge game, because Jurgen Klopp started play Brighton at Anfield before Arsenal and City go head to head, and the Reds will go top of the table as long as they avoid defeat against the Seagulls. So, will it be Arsenal who win their first Premier League title since the Invincibles 20 years ago? Can Liverpool give Jurgen Klopp the perfect farewell by winning their second Premier League title? Or will Manchester City become the first side in Premier League history to win 4 titles in a row? Now, the last time we had a Premier League title battle this close at this stage of the season between 3 sides was back in the 2009-2010 season, when Carlo Ancelotti's Chelsea led Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United and Arsene Wenger's Arsenal in the race to be crowned champions. Only 3 points separated those 3 sides after 28 matches played, and, similarly to this season, the goal differences were very close as well. Remarkably, both Chelsea and Manchester United picked up 25 points from a possible 30 in the 2009-2010 run-in, but it was a crucial 2-1 win at Old Trafford that ensured the Premier League trophy would head to Chelsea and Stamford Bridge. As for the Gunners, well, an inconsistent end to that season saw Arsene Wenger's side only pick up 17 points from a possible 30, and they ended up finishing 11 points behind champions Chelsea. And the Gunners will be well aware that their title challenge fell away last season after a disappointing end to their campaign saw Mikel Arteta's side only pick up 15 points from a possible 30 in their last 10 games. This allowed City to overturn an 8-point gap to Arsenal and to retain their Premier League title after they collected 25 points from a possible 30 in their last 10 games. So, who will be crowned Premier League champions on the 19th of May this year? Let's take a look at the remaining fixtures for each of the Premier League title chasing sides. So, as we know, Arsenal kick off their title run-in with a trip to the Etihad in a massive title clash with City. That is the first of 5 tough away games in the run-in for Arsenal, as they also face trips to 2 sides chasing European qualification in Brighton and Wolves. Those away games are before what is set to be a huge North London derby, as Tottenham will not only be chasing qualification to next season's Champions League, but they will also have the added motivation of attempting to damage the title hopes of their biggest rivals. And Arsenal's final away game of the season will be at Old Trafford, where they have only won once since 2006. That was in November 2020, where Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang scored the only goal of the game from the penalty spot in what was ultimately a disappointing game between the 2 sides. But this is a vastly improved Arsenal side now, and they are certainly capable of getting a result at Old Trafford against an inconsistent Manchester United side, and that could be an absolutely massive game at the end of the season. As for their remaining home fixtures, the Gunners take on relegation-threatened Luton Town, Champions League chasing Aston Villa, before a home match against Chelsea, who might be in desperate need of the points by then as they chase European football. Mauricio Pochettino's side faced Manchester City in the FA Cup semi-final just 3 days before their match against Arsenal, and a defeat to Pep Guardiola's side will end any hopes for Chelsea of qualifying for Europe through winning the competition, and it could leave them with only being able to play European football next season via their league position. Arsenal's last 2 games of the season are against 2 sides who may be facing a relegation battle in Bournemouth and Everton. So it's definitely a tough run-in for the Gunners, particularly away from home, but Mikel Arteta's side have only lost to one of their remaining opponents this season in Aston Villa, when John McGinn scored the only goal of the game after 7 minutes at Villa Park earlier in the season. Another factor for Arsenal is their superb Champions League campaign, which continues with games against Bayern Munich at the Emirates on Tuesday the 9th of April and at the Allianz Arena on Wednesday the 17th of April. And if the Gunners were to beat Bayern and progress to the semi-finals of that competition, then they would face either Manchester City or Real Madrid. Can Mikel Arteta's side manage both competitions? and possibly even achieve an extraordinary double. So what about Liverpool's run-in? Well, like Arsenal, they face 5 home games and 5 away games, and they kick off their run-in with 2 home matches against Brighton and Sheffield United. Brighton's away form has not been great this season, and Sheffield United's situation at the bottom of the table looks pretty hopeless, although it has been slightly helped by Nottingham Forest's points deduction, which has reduced their gap to safety, but I can't see Chris Wilder's side getting anything from a trip to Anfield. Liverpool's first major test of their title credentials looks set to come at Old Trafford, where they will be hoping to get their revenge on a United side that knocked Jurgen Klopp's side out of the FA Cup in their classic quarter-final tie after an extra-time winner from Amad Diallo. Liverpool have only lost 1 of their last 5 Premier League games at Old Trafford, though this only loss came in last season's 2-1 defeat to United, where goals from Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford helped United secure a first Premier League win for Erik ten Hag. A home match against Crystal Palace precedes 3 tricky away matches against a Fulham side who have an excellent home record this season, a Merseyside derby against Everton, and then a trip to London Stadium to take on West Ham. Liverpool's second to last home game of the season comes against Spurs before a final away game against Aston Villa, and these could be absolutely crucial matches for Jurgen Klopp's side against 2 sides who are likely to be in the mix for Champions League qualification. Finally, Liverpool will end their season with a home match against Wolves. Similarly to Arsenal, Liverpool are also in European action in the end of season run-in as they take on Atalanta in the quarter-finals of the Europa League, where they'll be at home on the 11th of April, and then they'll travel to Italy for the away leg on the 18th of April. So can Jurgen Klopp's side win both the Premier League and the Europa League and make it 3 trophies for the season? And finally, how about Manchester City? Well, their run-in also includes 5 home games and 5 away games. At home, City begin with 2 very tough fixtures against title rivals Arsenal, and then they welcome Unai Emery's Champions League chasing Villa to the Etihad. It's Crystal Palace away at Selhurst Park before a home match against Luton Town on the 13th of April, before a pause in their Premier League fixtures as City will take on Chelsea in the FA Cup semi-final on the 20th of April. Pep Guardiola's side will then resume their pursuit of a 4th successive Premier League title with back-to-back away matches against Brighton and Nottingham Forest before 2 home games in May against Wolves and West Ham, either side of an away game against Fulham at Craven Cottage. Their match against Tottenham that was due to take place on the weekend of the FA Cup semi-finals will be rearranged. The standout fixtures of City in this run-in are of course the match against Arsenal on Sunday and the following home game against Villa, and the trip to Spurs could prove crucial in the title run-in when it is rescheduled. As well as the FA Cup, like Arsenal, City are also in the Champions League and face a quarter-final tie against Real Madrid, with the first leg at the Bernabeu on the 9th of April and then the second leg on the 17th of April. So could City achieve an unbelievable back-to-back treble-winning season? Well, they face a difficult path to the Champions League final, as if they were to beat Real Madrid in the quarter-finals, they would then need to see off either Arsenal or Bayern Munich in the semi-finals before facing one of Atletico Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, PSG or Barcelona in the final to retain their Champions League crown. In the FA Cup, a win against Chelsea in the semi-finals could lead to a rematch of last year's All-Manchester final if United see off Coventry in their semi-final match. And the run-in for the Premier League certainly has some tricky-looking fixtures, but we know City tend to end Premier League seasons strongly, and they'll be absolutely determined to achieve an extraordinary achievement of back-to-back trebles. So who do you think will win the Premier League title in what has been an absolutely fantastic season so far? Will it be Arsenal? Will it be Liverpool? Will it be City? Let me know in the comments.